This video is sponsored by Wing Technology, your ultimate flight sim hardware solution.
Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing very well. So I've spent lots of time recording a lot of the kinematic parameters of the aircraft in DCS. Low altitude speed, high altitude speed, dive speed, low altitude acceleration, high altitude acceleration, climb rate, fast climb rate, maximum turn rate, minimum radius, max sustained angle of attack on tight turn, instant altitude, sustained altitude, roll rates in various configurations. So all the things that I think would be useful for you guys to figure out which plane you want in DCS based on your kinematic requirements. Do you want it to be a good dogfighter? Do you want it to be a good BVR fighter, and so on? There's one more I'd like to add. It sounds a bit boring. I want to test the brake strength. How powerful are the air brakes in the aircraft? And it's come to light since I've been doing a little bit of ACM. I've done a series of ACM videos talking to some guys that know what they're talking about. ACM, that means kind of close-in dogfighting, if you like. And one thing that actually came to light was that the air brakes are actually quite important in a dogfight. And the reason that is so you can force an overshoot. If you're in front of someone in a close-in fight, one of the best ways to reverse the fight, to make you the aggressor, is to force the other guy to overshoot, okay? To do that, you need to slow down. Now, the best way you slow down in a dogfight is actually just the way that you maneuver your aircraft, i.e. have a massive instantaneous increase of angle of attack, and the airflow hitting the body and whatnot of your aircraft will slow you down. But let's say for some reason you couldn't do that. In that case, the only way of braking is going to be your air brake. So, to the question here, which aircraft in DCS has the most powerful air brakes? Now, the ways of doing this, first of all, I thought that we are driving along at 600 knots, say, and we suddenly come off the throttle and we come on the air brakes and we record the time it takes to slow down to, say, 300 knots. That won't work. The reason is, if you do that, you're not only testing the braking ability of the air brakes, but also the drag of the airframe. So it's not really a proper test, if that makes sense. So the way that I've decided to do this is with each aircraft, we fly at, let's say, 600 knots, or as close to that as we can, and we fix the throttle at that, whatever throttle is required, and we hard fix it there so we can't move the throttle. Then we put the air brakes out, and we allow the plane with that amount of throttle to slow down to a certain speed. We measure that speed. At that point, we are measuring in one move, and it's nice and easy to test, the difference between flying with and without your air brake at a constant throttle, and the problem of our airframe drag shouldn't be as measurable or as much as a problem. I hope that makes sense. We'll go and start it now and see how far we get. Okay, so in theory, this should be relatively simple to test. Let's jump in a Hornet. First thing I'm going to do is get to the closest I can to 600 knots. I won't be able to get there perfectly, but as close as I can. Hold that there, and then I'll report back. With that amount of throttle, she is holding at 601 knots. That's close enough for us. Air brake's going on now. Throttle staying the same. Speed this up. So from 601 down to 449, I think that's going to be settled. 449. Okay, we've got the 15 just about settled in 600 knots with that amount. And air brake on. Expedite. She's settled about there. At. Not quite. 427, 427. Okay, JF17, we've got it settled at 601 with that amount. I'm going to put the air brake on now, so 601 to... pretty much settled at 408. 601 to 408, very powerful air brake. Okay, we've got the Mirage settled just under 600, so it's 596, 596. Air brake on. And that is, so it's 596 to 320, 596 to 320. F16 just about settled as 602, 602, and brakes going on. Okay, that's just about it, 602 to 366, 602 for 366. Biggins, a bit awkward, it's an odd power band, so 585 is going to do, but 585 and air brake on. As far as we know, 585 to 512, a very weak brake. SU-33, we've pretty much got stable at 604, air brake going on, throttle remaining the same. That'll do us. So it's a 604 to 370. Okay, got the big balance at 606. I think that's the best we're going to get. 605. Air brake on. Okay, I think we'll go it there. 293. Wow. 605 to 293. Okay, pretty balanced in the land flanker at 601 and brakes on. (368) 601 to 368. Okay, 29A 604. Brake on. (333) will do. 604 333. Pretty effective. Okay, that's as fast as we can get in the Harrier. 583. Brake on. 583, so it's the best we're going to be able to do. Wow, really? It's not doing anything? Oh, it's not come out. That's odd. Let's try that again. Oh, it doesn't come out. Look. For some reason it doesn't come out fully at high speed. I'm guessing it's a fail-safe or something. I don't think we can really count that in that case then. I think we'll leave the Harrier. F14 606 is the closest I can get it. Air brake on. Oh, and it doesn't come out. Oh, it doesn't come out above a certain speed. Bugger. I've got no comparable way of testing that. There's no point of doing it from 450 knots because, you know, the air resistance will be completely different. So we will skip the 14. They've got the F5 settled at 600 now, but that's good enough. And air brake on. Let's go with 430. I think there's up and down, but 430. 600 to 430. Welcome back to the data. Here is the data. Air brake strength, airframe, start speed, end speed, and the all-important delta. How many knots, at the same engine power, how many knots did the air brake slow the aircraft down? Now, there are some inaccuracies I figured as I was doing this. A, engine power is different at different speeds, so that will change things about. B, as the aircraft slow down, their angle of attack will increase, so that will introduce extra airframe drag, which will vary between airframes. That's another inaccuracy. Otherwise, I still think this is probably the most accurate way to do this, to test the pure strength of the air brake. The test didn't go as expected. What I would have imagined is that the aircraft with the largest cross-section of air brake in relation to its airframe size, obviously, would be the one with the most efficient air brake. So, for instance, we can see three aeroplanes here, an F-15, a Mirage, and a MiG-21. They are perfectly to scale, by which I mean that I set the camera exactly 100 feet away from each airframe and used the same zoom level. And we can see that in relation to the airframe, the one with probably the biggest air brake would be probably, someone would have to sit and actually count the pixels or something, probably the MiG-21, then maybe the F-15, then maybe the Mirage. So I expect it to be the MiG-21 the best, then F-15, then the Mirage, but that is counting relatively roughly, obviously just by eye. The best was, in fact, by fluke, the MiG-21. It started at 605 knots with the same engine throttle setting at least. The end speed was 293, giving us a delta of 312 knots IAS. The second best was the Mirage. This was not expected. I wasn't particularly expecting the Mirage brakes to be very good, and that is again because of the cross-sectional area as compared to the cross-sectional area of the Mirage. I didn't think it should be particularly good, but it was extremely good. 596 down to 320. At 276, MiG-29, I haven't got any pretty pictures, but down at 271, F-16, 236, Su-33, Su-27 identical, so it's good they came out the same. Jeff 193, I think that's a top brake, isn't it? I think, don't quote me. F-15, whopping great brake there, doesn't actually slow down very well. And I can't figure out why. If we're talking about the weight of the aircraft, that doesn't really matter due to the way that we did this test. It will matter a bit, but not as much as, for instance, a deacceleration test. This technically wasn't actually a deacceleration test per se, so momentum's not actually particularly important. F5E, pretty low down. F18, very low down, even though it's actually got quite a large air brake, I think, for its airframe cross-sectional size. The Vigan is almost non-existent air brake, as we can see. The AVAB couldn't get the air brake out and the F-14 couldn't get the air brake out. So I guess I pass it to you guys. How realistic do you think that is from the test that we did? For me, it seems not quite right, if my understanding of air brake is correct in that it is related to the size of the air brake cross-section to the cross-section of the aircraft, particularly in terms of the Mirage and maybe the MiG-29. But let me know your thoughts. That's all I've got. I hope that was useful and see you later.